Hello, hello, welcome to a new Let's Play. We are looking at Final Fantasy IX. Now, this is the last Final Fantasy game released, last, I think, sorry. If I remember correctly, this is actually the last new Final Fantasy title released on, on PlayStation 1, all the way back into the year 2000. And here we're looking at the intro screen, which is straight from the PlayStation, intros. So these it's all composed of FMWs, full motion videos of cutscenes in the game, on top of the map of the game's world. There's actually two different demo reels if you let the game autoplay. This is the one that you normally see on startup of the game. It's the first one. And unlike the Final Fantasy 7 or 8 one, it's actually rather short. So I'm gonna put it here. Actually, wait. I'm gonna show the other one as well. Now, part of the I guess promotional information, or I'm not really sure where this falls under, but I think it's basically well, you'll see in a moment. Also, by the way, I think that's the only way you can actually see the old Squaresoft logo for pre-Final Fantasy X-2 titles on Steam. So the order is, I think, actually random depending on which point whether you interrupted a previous showing. So it's actually supposed to show Zizane's first. So these moments are actually, what we're seeing here are actually stills of cutscenes in the game, and they're defining moments for each of the main characters. This is actually a cutscene not in the game, and it's something that was cut, and nobody actually seems to know what happened. I've never actually found any conclusive info on why that cutscene was not added to the game, but it's actually on the back of the PlayStation 1 box, as well as here. So it's unusual because nobody knows where it was supposed to happen. I think a common theory is it's supposed to happen in disc 3 or 4. Okay, so yeah, we did miss a couple of these. We did miss about 4. So I think if we let it loop around again, it should show it. But each still, other than the arrogance one, is actually a cutscene still. And in each emotion is a defining moment of the the character depicted. All right, so now we skip the intro cutscene again. It should loop back around to the start. So this is pretty much a classic Square-style JRPG, which means we're going to be doing a lot of off-screen grinding in between sessions, and there's a lot of grinding required. So this is basically, like I was saying, it loops back around to the start of Zidane. And it's a retro-style game in the sense that it's got it's got a chibi style, sprites and graphics. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It's more SD, SD, which is super deformed, and it's got a lot of flaws. It's got some flaws that get mitigated a bit with the Steam port. Oh, this is also, I think, another cutscene that's not actually in the game. So I forgot about this one, but I believe this is not actually in the game. Okay, so here we go. Oh, there we go. So unfortunately, the way the port on Steam is set up is you will see black boxes around gameplay and cutscenes. This is not something that can be avoided, unfortunately. Despite my best efforts, I cannot seem to make it where the black boxes are gone, so it's going to look very weird. It's just how it is, unfortunately. Even for stuff like the Moguri Mod, that helps alleviate some of these issues. So, something to note about Final Fantasy IX is it has a built-in time attack reward, in the sense that if you get to the final dungeon within 12 hours game time, you get a super-powered weapon for one of the strongest characters in the game. We will not be doing that because it is a trouble pain in the ass, and it requires a lot of cutscene skipping. And I am just not doing that shit. It's one of the few flaws in 9 was it had no way of avoiding encounters past running away, literally. This is something that stands out as a stark contrast to game design going on further, as well as previous game design where you had methods of lowering or outright removing enemy encounter rates. So for certain segments, I will be turning on the no encounters booster. I think it's actually considered a booster in this game. I don't know, but basically there's 4 built-in boosters to the Steam port on top of the ones that give you maxed out stats, which we're not touching because I guess you can still grind this easily. But there's 4. One is perma transmo, trans is the limit break for Final Fantasy IX. It gives you perma trans mode. Then there's a maximum damage mode, and then there's speed up mode, which we'll may have to use at some points. And then there's also the no encounters mode. So no encounters mode will be used at varying points to get past the areas I know have annoying encounters to deal with. So yeah, this is your fourth one. Honestly, I should have probably just made a prepared save and just started after this segment. Because I think I'm going to have to... Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to have to change it all around. Because it resets your controller configuration each time, and it's a pain in the ass. I'll probably have to change this one as well, because I don't remember which one I was using before. Okay, yeah, I'm turning that off because it's a pain in the ass. And you can choose between normal, which was standard in Final Fantasy VIII at this point in the series, or you can go to classic, which was seen in Final Fantasy VII and older titles. Yeah, since it's a Steam port, you got different ones. It's from my understanding, it's actually a port of the mobile version. So. And this is also something that was not in the original game. Right, okay, let me explain. In the original game, it was just the character's portrait, as in the menu portrait, and then, the name input screen. All this right here, what you're seeing here with the cutscene still, from the emotions thing, this was not in the original release. So this is something new either to the port that was on mobile or the Steam version. So this was definitely changed. Now, so hello to the latecomers in chat. Good thing you just got here. We only just started. Okay, so now we have our. It's kind of like a boss, but not quite one at the same time. So you want to spam steel as much as you can each time. Basically steel until there's nothing left. Now, later, after this part, in the later part of the game, you only have Zidane who you can steal with. Basically, we're gonna keep stealing until we get our items. And sometimes he'll just fail attacks. So, drop rates can be really, really bad sometimes. Oh, we got someone down, unfortunately. There we go. Now we can move on because we got a nice little item. Fortunately, he has very low hit points. Basically, the opening party is the theater troupe of thieves kidnapping Garnet, the Princess of Alexandria. Now, if you do, there's an Easter egg here. If you keep doing that about 64 times, which we're not going to do here, you get another character come in that insults Zidane. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that, but you can probably find it on YouTube easily. There's a lot of the early Final Fantasies, pre I think pre seventh generation, before 13 had a lot of Easter eggs, humorous things or stuff to callbacks to other titles. So this character is Vivi, one of the franchise's most iconic Black Mage characters, and as you can see, he has the iconic Black Mage outfit. Look to him. So overall, mechanically, he's actually one of the strongest characters, and usually is a staple of preferred late game parties. Just because he has some synergy with another character in the party, as well as his own pure magical power. And also, this is also something that's scripted to happen as the rat kid running into you, because as you see, even if you try to turn and avoid him, he will run. He's automatically just locks it onto you. So something to note about Final Fantasy 4. Sorry, 9 is that like 7 and 8, it's actually divided into multiple discs. This is because of the way the CD-ROM format was supported back then, and how big the games were getting. The fourth disc was meant solely for in-game dungeon as well as in-game side quests. Also, and this is also, sorry, I moved away. This is actually a mini game. It's all about testing your reflexes, and I've never been able to beat that. But if you do it enough times, if you get enough jumps, skipped and everything on the rope, you get rewards, and you get an achievement for what was it, 1,000 in a row. Same bullshit as the dodging lightning bolts in 10. God, I hate that one. So something to know about Alexandria is that it's a queendom with a hereditary ruler that's the queen. The difference between a kingdom and a queendom is a kingdom is almost always ruled by a male, whereas a queendom is ruled exclusively by females. So that's the major difference between those two. And here is a queendom. There are exceptions to that where a country is called a kingdom, but it's ruled by whoever's the suitable the rightful successor. So he can be a king or a queen in that instance. This is not one of those. Yeah, here it is called a kingdom, but it's really more of a queendom based on what I just said. So something to know about the Knights of Pluto is that the military in Alexandria is female heavy. The Knights of Pluto are the only male soldiers. And something to know about, that is, those are the cards for the mini game, the main mini game in 9, which is Tetramaster. It's a successor to Triple Triad, which was the mini game of Final Fantasy VIII. However, unlike Triple Triad, it is required in order to play it in order to progress the story, whereas Triad was entirely optional. Another main difference is that Triad had actual rewards for completing it, as well as mechanical bonuses and items for collecting cards and refining them. Tetramaster does not have that, and it's at least in Rim Cricket it's called Tetramaster. Maybe it's called something else entirely, but yeah, the Final Fantasy IX version is just not very good. So unfortunately you have to say this in order to keep going. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, that line is actually supposed to be an Easter egg to something else. So basically, this is an entirely optional thing in order to learn about the card game. We won't need to do this until I think midway or around 60% of the way to do the story. So we can just skip this because, yeah. And if you go back to him, you get this prompt over and over. Now, something to note about him is that, you know, he talks about going around by other aliases elsewhere. That's because he's actually Gilgamesh, a recurring character in the series. Usually he has 6 arms or so. It's either 2 to 6 arms depending on the game. Like in Final Fantasy XIV, he's got 2 for most of his appearances in the game, and then during battle he tends to have 4 or 6. So he's the recurring character Gilgamesh there. So yeah, they did change some of this around from the PlayStation 1, you know, version where it was memory card there, but now it's save folder. So this is a hallmark of the previous previous to, I think. Oh, I don't actually know which Final Fantasy it was where this stopped being standard, to where you could save anywhere instead of at certain points. But I think it was around. Ooh. Shit, I don't actually know. I think it's maybe Lightning Returns? I don't know. It's been so long that I haven't thought about it, but a hallmark of Final Fantasy is that you had to reach certain points in a zone in order to save the game. Now, here in oh, okay, I gotta talk about this guy soon. Now, you had to reach certain points in order to save the game. It's actually a hallmark, and you typically it's like it's at either before boss battles or deep inside a zone. Now, something about this character right here, Stiltskin, is he's actually part of a late game side quest that stretches across all 4 discs of 9. He typically says where, he tends to mention where he's going next. This is also part, this is part of the side quest that you need to do in order to, do it. Yeah, see, talks about, the side quest being, rather the Moogle delivery stuff being messed up. So basically, you have to pay attention to where the NPCs, which Moogle you're at when you reach a new one. Because a lot of this requires you remembering where it is. Now, if you grab it early at the start of the game here, you can pretty much do it as you go along. But you're gonna start paying attention later on, because some you might get 1 or 2 letters at a time that don't go to where you're going next. So you have to do some backtracking. This is something you cannot backtrack on this one, unfortunately. So here we have Vivi, formerly introduced, So something to note about this is in 9 and I think 7, you can actually freely name all your characters. In 8, however, you can only rename Squall and Renoa. This is a stark contrast to the other previous, prior Final Fantasy games where you had more freedom over the character's name. Now, something to note about this is, if I remember correctly, this is actually, Final Fantasy X is actually the last one where you can name your main character, assuming you don't count, 14, for obvious reasons, because MMO. That is, an MMO that didn't let you customize your name would be really weird. But if you don't count 14, 10 is the last entry where you cannot name your character. Don't count. Yeah, also don't count 11 for that, for the same reason as 14, because that's MMO and you're always allowed to customize your name. But in terms of non-MMO, 10 is the last one where you can do that. And then they get around this by never ever referring to the characters by name. They always refer to him by nouns and adjectives. It's also important to pay attention to who Puck is. Now, remember correctly, there was some kind of loot you can find around here. Oh, wait, no, maybe it's a little further on. In this field, sometimes you'll see white exclamation marks. Yes, just like this. There we go. Extra money. Now, let's see. I can't remember which way we're supposed to go. Oh, maybe this way. But yeah, in the field, when you see a white exclamation mark, that means there's something hidden there. Yeah, that's where we need to go, but typically speaking, it's always worth it to, try to explore around in an area as best as you can. There we go. A little extra money. Now, there's another minigame coming up that tests your reflexes, and there's actually a very, very good reward for doing it. It's an item that you cannot get until much later on in the game. So, when we get to it, we'll see. So this is, from what I understand, it's actually telling part of the story. It's it's an alternate retelling of Final Fantasy II. In the early story, anyway. And this actually comes up later on in disc 2 section of Final Fantasy IX, where you're trying to, where you're in the I forgot what the name was, but it's basically where you get another summon. So this is actually something that comes up later on in the game. And also, something to note about this is, an opera, kidnapping involving an opera play is not the first time this happened in a Final Fantasy game, because it was actually a major part of Final Fantasy VI. Now you'll notice your steel commands are replaced by SFX. It's basically zero damage versions of spells you're learning using the game. He just jumps in and trying to dunk on him. So it's always been a funny looking animation. Just can't run up at him, swing. He's got to go in the air like Michael Jordan. Also, pay attention to this line. It comes up again much later. Now, it's been a very, very long time since I did this minigame, so I'm probably gonna fuck up a lot. But if you get a perfect score in it, you get a very good reward. And it's always randomized, so you have to be very quick on the draw. And if you're coming from a PlayStation controller, oh god, you can see what you already know, that the cross button problem. Oh! Now we're not gonna do that. We're gonna take the win. Yeah, see, this is why you want to do it. Take the win. So I think you have to come back and do the encore and do it again, but no. Taking the win. So, I forgot to talk about this. Every time you go to a new an area for the first time, you get a little on-screen pop-up like that. Now, if you go back... Oh, there's no Moogle here, okay. Yeah, remember correct, there is a Moogle here. It should be showing up soon. So in some ways you can say, oh, before I forget, we can equip his weapon now, that new weapon. So as you notice, weapons and armor, and even accessories in this game have, tend to have special abilities on them. Now one character cannot learn every single ability possible on an item. However, certain specific items can be used by certain characters. Like here, if the okay, well, actually, I should explain what the icons mean. A red icon indicates ability. Now, if the icon is highlighted like it is here, that means the character that has, that you're equipping the item onto can learn it. A blue icon means it's a support ability, which is passive. Red icons are active abilities. Blue are support. Support means once you have that ability learned, you can always have it equipped without having to have the item equipped. Now, multiple items overlap with others in this, so we don't have any here that I can show the example of what I mean. So, if you have an item that overlaps with another, and you have two items equipped that teach the same ability, you learn it twice as fast. And of course, you can optimize. So, something to note about the game is that Zidane, Aiko, who is somebody you meet later on in Disc 2's arc, and Garnet have two different weapon types. Zidane uses daggers as well as something called a thief sword, which is, I think, only in Final Fantasy IX. The thief sword is basically a two-handed, double-bladed sword that, it's kind of like Darth Maul's lightsaber, to put it one way, to where, it's got a similar concept as a sword with a double blade on it. But that, later on, not later on, but not very far into the game, he gets the ability to learn how to draw out a ability, basically a status effect of a thief sword. Thief swords, in general, are the strongest weapon the stronger weapon he can equip. However, I think, if I remember correctly, there's something about his attack, ATB speed being tied to what weapon he's using. He's faster with daggers, but it's slower with these swords, but gets more damage and as well as status effects in return. And it tells you what items you have equipped that will do this. So that's why you want to spend a little time getting the Mage Masher early on, because it gives him the same ability he's got there, as well as a new one. And you want to get on that as soon as possible. Now, you get different dialogue depending on what happens. So this is what, it's interesting because she's trying to get away. For reasons that'll be revealed soon. So these two are the two jesters of Alexandria who have a very strange speech. One talks normal and the other talks like Yoda. And here we can name Steiner. So this is Beatrix and Steiner, the two, knights, top level knights of the kingdom. If I remember correctly, you can go back and talk to her. There we go. Now, take a look at the Moonstone. It changes. Okay, you get a summon in Disc 2 for Aiko. There's two summoners in this game. One has a more white. The difference between Aiko and Garnet is, well, for one, you can change your late game party around depending on which one you want to take around. You get both as part of the story, so it's not like an either or situation. Aiko is more magic focused with a few summons, while Garnet is more summon focused with a few little white magic. Aiko gets the Carbuncle summon, which can have its effect changed by equipping the Moonstone on her. And the one reason why you want to get this early on is because, as you can see, it gives a passive ability as well as an active ability. Now, the Shell ability is learned by both Aiko and Garnet. And the Beast Killer is incredibly useful early on because a lot of Disc 1 enemies are beast types, so you want to get that to increase your damage. Give me a second, I'll try to find if I can tell you exactly how much that increase happens. Let's see. So, let's see. Beast Killer is by far one of the most useful abilities in 9 to have. Let's see. Okay, so what it does is it increases your physical attack damage by 50% against beast enemies. And like I said, it's one of the most useful ones because if you do not somehow get the Moonstone early on, you have to wait for a very long time to get it on others. Because as you can see here, Steiner starts with it, which means only Steiner gets to have the bonus for a while. But getting the Moonstone from the minigame there means that Zidane and others who joined the party early on can learn it too. And with Steiner, that means he gets a 2x speed boost in terms of learning it. So, especially once you get access to earlier game equipment, like the leather wrist. So it's 100% worth it to get, to try and get that Moonstone from the minigame. You have to go back to Braun in order to get it. Also, it should be noted that for a long time the Knights of Pluto get just disrespected non-stop. And there's another minigame here in that you need to go find all the Pluto Knights. Also, something I forgot to talk about with the save points is that in the Steam version you have an autosave. It's unlocked every time you either enter an area or exit it. I think it's also after every battle. I'm not sure about that one. So it's been about 5 years since I played this. So something to note about, you need to note what the Pluto Knights are doing. Because, again, this comes into play later on. So something to note here is there's a lot of stuff, foreshadowed here. If you take the time to go around and talk to NPCs as you go through here. So it's actually incredibly important that you notice that one, okay? Because every Knight of Pluto is identified. No, basically you cannot make him move ever. Oh, we're at the wrong spot anyway. So I'm going to try to go back to the banquet hall. Oh wait, I think we're supposed to go back and talk to him again. So that's why you want to talk to him, because if you talk to all the knights, you do get a bonus reward for doing it. Oh, we went the wrong way. And also, it's important you pay attention to that later because it comes up again as part of the story. Near the start of Disc 3, you need to know which knights to give what orders to. Also, Steiner is just straight up hilarious, non-stop. Also, if you haven't noticed, that's the classic white mage outfit. So for what I understand, it's supposed to be a remix of the Shinra parade music for Rufus back in 7. It's been a long since I heard that, so I have no idea if it's actually true or not, so it's been that long. And this is Ruby, the character that would have shown up if you had caused the Easter egg back when the mission briefing. So this gets weird really quickly. Yeah, that the Tantalus was hired to kidnap her, and she wants to be kidnapped anyway. They just roast this poor guy all game. When the hell did he get the time to do that? Like, look how detailed it is. That's the kind of thing that requires a lot of testing. And if you look closely, you can see why there's something suspicious. It was harder to tell from back when, back up top side. But there you can see if you look closely at the model. Now, if you mess with this a little bit, you get items dropped. Now, let's see what we did to the right. Wait, no, I think it's to the left. Oh, let's see. Which one was it? Okay, yeah, to the right now. If you do this, you turn to the left and turn to the right once, you get items dropped down there in the engine room. Okay, there it is. It's hard to tell sometimes it's a stack when you can't move your camera around to see which way you need to go. There we go. Now, let's see, Phoenix Pinion. See, we can't equip it, yeah. Go ahead and equip this on its name because you are going to need to use a Beast Killer on him real soon. Now, something to note about about the Phoenix Pinion is, if I remember correctly, Ico's the one who got to equip it, even though it shows, okay, so some of these items, some of the minerals and such actually boost Eidolons as when you get them later on. But 99 means you can draw it to maximum power, but instead you don't need to get that high in order to have really strong summons. Especially since some of them are a pain in the ass. Microt is the only time in the game that Steiner is an enemy. Well, let's count something later on, but we'll get to that time. So once again, you want to steal spam him until you get out all of his items. So this is how the attack skill works. Rarity ability, so. There we go. Oh, okay, so you press the right trigger, you get the auto battle, which does auto attacks until the enemy's down or the battle's over. Combined with the fast forward booster, it is actually great with this AFK speed level. I don't even know how he got Oglops in there. So something to note about that ability is I think that's the only time in the game standard can use something like that. It's some kind of special cutscene ability. It's never replicated in gameplay as far as I know. It does look somewhat similar to Stock Break, which is something you can learn. But it's not quite the same. Yeah, just do it, sleep there like nothing's wrong. Stan just over there acting all goofy as hell. And busted. And since you're on stage again, you have access to, the SFX again. I mean, you cannot steal from these guys. This is the only time that, the Steiner and the Puzo Knights are enemies in the game. Again, this is not counted something later on. which we will get into. So something to note about this is, Garnet actually has access to her summons from the start, except for ones that are learned optionally. However, the MP costs are extremely high, higher than you normally could get. Now, if I'm not correct, there is a video on YouTube where someone finds out, yes, if you do grind enough to get access to the summons to the sheer MP costs, you can summon them in Disc 1. But it's an incredibly long time to grind. Oh, yeah, so if you skip the movie, you press X to skip the movie. Rather, not X, but you press the A button on a 360 pad. That's how you skip movies. So here's something to note. Like most other franchise, titles in the franchise, elemental weaknesses matter here. Unlike later entries like 14, Final Fantasy 14, where elemental weaknesses don't actually do anything. Not much point, casting spells because, Frost Notice is scripted, so it doesn't matter actually how much damage you do to them. It's a big bomb now. It's going all kaiju mode. It's a big monster. Until she's not happy. So we're gonna be seeing this experiment very, very soon. The main character is actually a second boss after this. So here's something that was fairly unique to this game that you can see. Yeah, it explains what it is pretty easily. It's basically a not replacement, but it's a lot like previous games and later games where you see little mini cutscenes and such, off screen, depicted off screen events. Oh, here I am. There we go. Let's see. Do we need anything? Okay, yeah. Silk shirt is Cure and Thunder. Whereas leather shirt does Protect Girl, so we keep them on that for now. So make a nice little save. You can see, as you can see, this does unfortunately spoil some, character stuff. So, but this is a what, 22-year-old game, so I don't think it's that big a deal. But I can understand people might be unhappy about that. So this is, from when I last played about 6 years ago, apparently. So generally speaking, you want to keep a hard save at Moogles, as well as your autosave. Your autosave can help you a lot because it basically the continue option in the Steam version will go off whatever was the last loaded save. So we loaded the level 18 save and played around on it, and exit the game, then come back in, hit continue, and take us back there. So whatever the last save you last loaded or saved will be your continue save, hence your auto save. So We're gonna pick it up here next time. What we're gonna do is actually do a lot of off-screen grinding. You know, just a little bit early on, make the next two bosses a little bit easier to deal with, and not have to spend much time in the next area as well. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.